All right, everyone, hello. Today is November 2nd, Wednesday. This is the Kubernetes Data Protection Working Group meeting. This meeting is recorded. We don't have too many agenda today, given that we probably vast majority of us just came back from KubeCon or you attended remotely. So we have a couple of items, updates from the KubeCon North America. Both Xin and me were there. Uh, I get to meet a couple people, but I don't think I met any one of here, any one of you there.
Hey, Dave was there, right? Did you see Dave? No?
I didn't see Dave.
Oh, maybe Dave was at the booth. Dave.
Oh, you went
Dave
to
was
booth?
there.
I went the boost. I went to the Whisper. I went to both
the
Whisper and
Caston
then
booth?
Caston's booth. I didn't see Dave.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in and out.
Oh, did you guys met before, right?
I met with Dave before in person.
Yeah, we did.
In
Like-
San Diego, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds about right.
Yeah, just not this meeting.
But
This
yeah,
time-
but this time is actually the first time both of us are at KubeCon in person, doing the presentation for this data protection working group. This is the first
Yes.
in-person presentation after this
Yes.
group was formed, right? This was formed like early 2020 after the San Diego KubeCon.
Uh-huh.
And then after that, it's just right after that, just pandemic. We have been doing recording ever since. Just finally did the in-person one this time. It's great.
Yeah.
I joined remotely, and yeah, thank you
Okay.
to the both of you for providing the updates of the working
Yeah,
group to the rest of the-
Ivan, unfortunately, I actually should have called that out in during the session. I just realized that later. I should have, because you actually did that nice recording, right? But then we just could not play that because that was talking in detail about your current design, which we know that we're not going to go with that design.
Yeah. Actually, like
So I
we
just
talked-
kind of really just give a like high level. I actually didn't really say anything.
No, that's
because of
totally
that,
fine.
yeah.
Just remember we talked about this. We talked about not playing the recording.
Yeah, you told me
Yeah,
actually, not
because
use
you
that,
know
yeah.
of the rejection on the proposal. So yeah, we talked about it over DMs, right? So forget about the
Yeah, but
recording.
there were some questions though. There were, I believe, a couple of questions, at least one of those questions, or maybe even two questions are about CBT
Yeah.
after our presentation.
I don't
Yep.
know if they were on the recording because I attended remotely and I watched the recording.
Oh, you
so-
cannot
so
see. Oh, you cannot see the recording part.
I don't remember. Maybe
Oh,
it was
okay.
recorded. Maybe
think
I
it's-
didn't stay long enough to watch
Okay.
to the end of the
There is a
recording.
of course it's just they're just
Or
asking.
maybe it's not
about
recorded at
the-
all.
I think they're just asking about the aggregated API server part or something. I forgot exactly what that it's. Yeah, it's not that we didn't really go into details because since we're not going with that design, so it's just some question that they just want to know why we can't go with that design or something.
Okay.
I did met with Tom. Tom was at
Oh yeah, Tom was there. Yeah, and I think and Mark
Mark was
Levy was there, right? Yeah, he was there.
Yes, I was. It was nice
Well,
to meet you.
Yeah, you were there. Actually, Mark was in all the events and also the meet and greet and 6:30 meetings, right? You were in all of those. Yeah. Yeah, very nice to meet you there.
Xiangqian, I just fist bumped you or said hi, but that was about it. So I'm sorry I didn't make more of a contact.
Then you were next to Tom, right? You were
Yes.
kind of standing next to each other. So we probably, I think we saw you there.
hopefully next year we have more people there so we can have a small group meeting or something like that. This time
Yeah.
it's still we're aware that a lot of people will not going there. So
Right, for sure. And I'm only 1 month into this, so I'm brand new, so I can't say much, but I'm learning.
And there's also I see Sukana is not here. Sukana, he is from Dell. He's also there. He was in our session as well. Yeah, normally he joined this meeting. He's not here today. Yeah, so I don't know. Is there anyone else on this call or actually at KubeCon that we missed? No? Okay.
not yet.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, I'll make this short. Basically, in this session, we have a couple of sessions over there. Right? I think Xin did a couple of them, and then I did one of them. The first one is the data on Kubernetes panel. I think Xin was one of the hosts over there with regarding to this session. The couple of one takeout I got from that particular session, I didn't go there for the full session, but it is that they are more and more stateful workloads moving into Kubernetes. And there was some statistics talking about, I think 40% versus 60%. Xin, did I remember that?
There was a survey. If you guys are interested, we can add a link here.
Yeah, we should add
the survey. Yeah.
Yes,
That's
please.
the
You have seen that?
CNCF.
Okay. Yeah, it's
Is that
actually
the CNCF survey or?
this is not CNCF, it's a DOK. So data on
Oh,
Kubernetes.
okay.
They has
Gotcha.
we can add a link here after this meeting. Yeah, it's
Okay.
actually worth reading. Yeah.
Okay.
They
It
do
sounds
the
like
survey after you. Mhm.
it sounds like it's consistent with what the CNCF survey show. Like, because I thought they were just quoting the CNCF one. Sounds like just like
Right.
this
It's
survey.
going to be consistent, but this one is more focusing on like people are running databases on Kubernetes.
Yeah, and that is
I think they
consistent
have a
with all the
slight
surveys
focus on
out
that. So
there.
they probably maybe the people they surveyed, I think they probably mentioned that one somewhere. I remember reading that they just say it could be a little skewed because they probably just talking to people who are already running database on Kubernetes. So you could see a like higher percentage on that part.
Well, at least like it's consistent. At least from what I can tell, it's consistent from two different sources, right? The DOK and the CNCF survey from last year.
Yeah, CNCF survey will be more generalized overall. Yeah, definitely.
And they also show this increasing trend for like the past 2 years, actually.
Yeah, the trend is pretty obvious, but another thing which is also interesting from to me is actually the usage of object storage seems to be growing faster. And does it even say why do we even need block devices?
I don't think that's actually new, to be honest. I haven't seen people like, well, if you double click, right, this is from that panel. This is the Patrick, he works at DataStack. So what they do is they basically they have an operator for Cassandra. So they want to separate their compute from their storage, because otherwise they have this problem. They have to like scale everything all at the same time, which is not good for running Kubernetes. So what they do is they basically use the object store as the persistent storage. So all the data is there, but it's not like they can completely get away from block storage. If you listen closely, they use block storage as cache layer. Object storage is too slow. You can't possibly completely rely on that, right?
I understand.
So,
but yeah, I know that, and also it's very restricted to certain type of applications. For example, Cassandra itself is a gigantic like key store plus indexing, right? So it's not a surprise, but it's pretty actually not quite new, not quite old in Kubernetes community. It was there for a while in non-Kubernetes environment.
Yeah.
But I brought this up because this is related to a group, right?
Definitely. I think this is interesting. This is of course something that caught my attention, because I was standing right there. He was saying block storage is dead or something. Like, what? No, that's not possible.
That's not accurate. So
but I know that he want to make his point, right? He want to make people hear about it. Yeah, but definitely I can see this. There is a trend here. And if you go talk to people at the Minio, they probably want to say the same thing, but they also have something. I need to actually, there is a session on the, I think it's I don't know, Dave, you were there on the Cloud Native Data Management Day. I believe there was a session where someone from Minio talked about the direct CSI driver. They're also trying to say, object storage is the best, of course, but they do have this layer, right? They have a small CSI driver kind of
the they build basically a fuse on top of that. Anyway,
But that's definitely not new. This is we have seen this trend in many other places as well, right? But yeah, they just want to make, stress this one, right? But it is definitely an important trend. Yeah.
I mean, for us, we should probably have like, how do we protect buckets and stuff on the roadmap?
So Dave, so that's actually, okay, so let me ask you, do you currently do that? Like, do you actually, so the reason I'm saying is I was actually, thinking about this, okay, whether do we need to also, back up our Minio buckets if we have data stored there, but then the feedback I'm getting is, hey, that's Minio is already running, it's already distributed. You can distribute that, you can run that in different zones and regions. You don't really have to back that up. That's what I heard. What about?
Well, I mean, that's the same argument. I mean, replication is not data protection, right? I mean, it's a part of it. It protects you against a disaster, but it doesn't protect you against data corruption, ransomware, accidental deletion. So those are reasons why you might want to do it.
3-2-1 rule, right, Dave?
Yeah. Yeah, so replication is definitely part of your disaster recovery, but it's not a complete answer. And we've seen this with, we've been at this for a long time with block devices, right? We have replicated block devices. Yay, now we don't need to back them up anymore. Oops, that's not true.
Right, but definitely interesting to hear what you guys are thinking.
I completely agree with Dave on that, right? So yeah, the backup system, it's not only for DR, right? There are many aspects that DR solutions like replication cannot solve at all but backup systems can.
I think there's a scale thing, where, a couple terabytes in a bucket's like, yeah, you can back that up. You get to a few petabytes, it's like, no.
Right, that's the thing, right? So basically, normally we use let's say S3, we use that as a backup target, right? Then you are going to back your backup target to which location? Another totally different.
Shin, the interesting thing is that vast majority of object storage system, especially the cloud ones, already support either multi-region bucket or regional bucket, right? With mixed.
Right. That's what I was saying, right? It's already being replicated. Do we need to have another system to back it up? That was the question, right?
What is more interesting is that if you need cross-continent, this kind of replication, I don't think it can be easily achieved using right. So
or archiving, versioning, those kind of things. It's something to put on the radar.
Right, archiving maybe, yeah, but I mean, I guess do you need to actually, let's say it's saved in S3, do you need to actually save another copy in some other place? Do you need to back that up to, let's say, Google Cloud? Is that necessary? I guess that's my question, because this is already distributed. It's already kind of you have several copies.
Like single vendor lock-in, you run into other problems. Like, for example, you get into a billing dispute with Amazon, and Amazon says, "Hey, we're going to turn you off," or they just mess up and turn your account off. Right? I mean, that's a completely possible thing to have happen too.
I think also like another use case is object storage is not just limited to cloud provider, right? Like on their like on-prem object storage solution as well. Like those need to
right, no, on-prem as well. Yeah. So let's say
those needs to be like somehow backed up to your cloud provider at large. So I'm curious. So speaking of object storage, like these folks that are using or going to use like object storage, are they utilizing Cozy or something else?
Not yet, right? So does anyone actually because I think Cozy it's basically just it's kind of new. No, just alpha. It's very new, right?
Oh, it's still alpha.
People are still kind of warming up. I was actually talking to people about this one. They're like, it's actually not really changing the data path. So what does this bring, right? So still, I think people are still trying to figure out how to use it.
If you take a look at Cozy Cap, right, it's mainly driven by, at this moment, Red Hat. folks.
It's actually not even Red Hat. I mean, it's not Microsoft. There are quite a few people from Microsoft who are very active right now.
Sure, but the main one that came up with the idea and started working on that was from
Initially, the idea was from Red Hat. They actually have this one in production. They have this Nuba thing. This is from the Nuba. They already use this one. They use the original version of this one in production already. Right.
But the key thing is that Ceph for Red Hat, it has Rook, right? The Rook operator uses its own API.
Right. Rook actually use this one. They use Cozy. They use their version of Cozy, not this code. They use this original version. They are talking about they are going to update that to use this one. So they will be one that will be using this.
What is the scope of Cozy? Is it just to manage the bucket, and does it include
just the bucket? Yeah, just the control path, just to create a bucket. But in terms of how your pod use that bucket, you still have to. It's not changing the data path easily.
It's more than that, right? It also manages the permission.
Permission, yeah. It basically just allow you to give you there is something called the bucket access, right? That has those credentials. Your pod basically just use those credentials to access the bucket. It's not the same. This is someone else was asking me, hey, how he's like he was trying to wrap his head around and say, hey, CSI seems like, of course you provide some amount path so that, your pod can use that. But Cozy, it sounds like it's, it's basically just allow you to have that credential so you can access the bucket. Yeah, I think for some people, they're still trying to understand how to use this.
So Abhishek said in a chat that they're using Cozy. So Abhishek, what are you guys using Cozy for? Is it mainly just bucket administration? Is there any data protection stories there?
We are basically using it to provide storage. So we have the Nutanix object store with us, and then using the Cozy interface, we are only providing the object store to the customers.
Okay. Do you folks have any data protection stories on object storage?
What product are you working on? What company you are working for?
I'm from Nutanix.
Oh, you're from Nutanix. Okay. Actually, I did not know Nutanix. Okay, sorry. That's okay. Okay, I was just see we have this one. If you're welcome to put your company name here, if you're interested.
Yeah. So actually, I'm a part of this group for 4 to 5 months right now, and I was previously in my data. I recently switched to Nutanix. My data is
I see.
Okay. Do you all have any data protection use cases for object storage?
That I'm not sure about, but we are currently working on the backup and restore services for the cloud native applications. So I'm pretty much new to the organization and I don't know the whereabouts currently of but I'm a part of the CNDS team here, which basically works on the data services for cloud native applications. So here I'm responsible for backup and recovery processes.
Gotcha.
So those are just the normal flow where we take a snapshot and then back up to a particular you can say storage and then recover from it. So it's just the basic stuff. Nothing new that the Kubernetes community already doesn't know.
It's not rare at all. In Google, we also need that. For the newly announced product called public sector hosted a Google distributed cloud. This is basically a single cell, something that deploys to a single data center or a single region. And the durability of the object storage system locally at one cell or one zone is not sufficient. So we do need backup systems to kind of replicate from one cell to another. It's at that level at this moment, but it's definitely some of the use cases, some of the interesting use cases you needed to was that Yuan, to Yuan's point, when you're not using cloud vendors, but using on-prem solutions.
So we had that request to Valero to back up S3 buckets. And kind of the way I look at Cozy, it's a way to manage buckets from inside Kubernetes. So it's great for apps that are keeping their own private data in an S3 bucket. So like the Harbor Container Registry, it has an option to use an S3 bucket to store images in. And
Right.
it's going to be a reasonable amount of data, but not necessarily a humongous amount of data. And you might want to be able to do things like back up all of your container images from the bucket and give you a point in time, because somebody might delete an image and you want to be able to go back in time and get that. So that's kind of how I see Cozy, is just something that we're using. We're managing the bucket from inside Kubernetes and its internal data for an app. That seems like the best use case for it.
Once, yeah, Dave, you're absolutely right. Once the Harbor Container Registry backed by S3 or GCS storage or anything, or any object storage vendors, and the other is actually Prometheus and the Fluentbeat, right? So the logs generated within the cluster and metrics can also use back object storage as the backup as the storage underneath that. So those typically, one strong thing I heard from is audio logging that's stored in object storage should be kept, first of all, in a warm bucket, which is write once, read many. That requires versioning, lock-in, etc., etc. And the second thing is actually the ability to read those logs for almost arbitrary long period of time. So in the case of DR, their compliance requirements to back up these storage systems, regardless whether you are using PV or PVC or object storage, to serve as the backend for audio logging storing. There are use cases there. It's just not as rich as file block at this moment.
So right now, Cozy only has one official driver, which is the Azure side. They wrote a Cozy driver. So if any of you are actually need a driver or has some object storage backend and needs a Cozy driver, yeah, feel free to join the Cozy meeting, which is weekly.
Is Cozy generally available in Kubernetes, or is it still in proposal state?
It's alpha.
Cozy is alpha, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're welcome
Okay,
to join the meeting, which is the Thursday at 10. It's 10 a.m. Pacific time.
Yeah, PST,
Yeah.
Thursday, PST.
Right. So yeah, right now it's just, it's good to get more drivers there, basically.
Good.
Cool. Good discussion. So next one is, as usual, we did the data protection working group. Appreciate all the effort this group has brought, and not a lot of people are not here today. So really, thanks for your contribution. The main things are on the white paper. I still remember days chasing people on writing the sections up. And also the yearly report. Please take a look and enjoy your own contribution and enjoy your own work there. And then I think Xin did some SIG storage updates. It's pretty, I think Xin has been bringing in her expertise as well as knowledge in SIG storage from the beginning. So Xin, do you want to add anything there?
So yeah, so SIG storage meet. Actually, we had a good turnout. It's a Friday afternoon, so I thought nobody would be there, but actually, we were not bad actually. So we just did an update of 1.25 and 1.26 release. What we did in 1.25 and what we are currently working on for 1.26 release. Mainly, that's the update. Normally, that's what we do in the SIG storage session. We do an update, talk about what we are doing there. And then also I did a session with Mauricio. He also gave a deep dive on CSI Windows. Yeah, but yeah, it's a good session. And yeah, so I know that Dave and Mark, we were all there. They were actually pretty good turnout there.
Cool. That's all from me today. Any items, any team members wants to bring up? Otherwise, we return 30 minutes back to your calendar.
I wanna just do a quick update on CBT. I think I already shared this with some of you. I guess just for the sake of like updating everyone else. So like yeah, I think right before KubeCon we received some feedback from folks from SIG architecture. Basically, they I guess it just I guess to reject it, highly not recommend us go down the aggregated API server route. The main argument is there is that like as we have discussed over the past couple of months, like when we stream like change block data back to the backup software, it's still proxy through everything is still proxy through the Kubernetes API server, right? Essentially, we put the aggregated API, the Kubernetes API server back into the request response path. The whole argument around like using we do that for logs and metrics that didn't stand as well, because the architecture argument is that like those are like system data, in so they have more control over it, like as opposed to user data, which did classify what which like the change block data would fall under. So yeah, it's so now it's I think the last comment I left there was okay, that we tried 4 or 5 prototypes already. Like my question to the architecture was like where which would be the right forum to bring this up again. Surely we have exhausted, I think in my opinion, most of the alternatives and prototypes we have considered, and there got to be a trade-off somewhere. So like, do we bring this up to a architecture meeting? Do we bring it up to SIG apps? Do we bring it up to SIG storage? Just
SIG app is probably not the best place, but can I get a little bit more information on this event, if you don't mind? Do they propose any alternatives?
No,
or
no.
They're just saying, okay.
Do you want to, Ivan? Do you want to actually share the screen just to show, what are the comments?
Yeah, give me a minute.
I'm actually thinking maybe good to actually talk to SIG architecture, because they kind of
Yeah, I want to understand what exactly is the concern, right? Is the concern that you'll bring too much traffic to the API server?
Yes.
Yeah, basically that's it, right?
Even the aggregated API server, they say it's not built for that type of traffic.
Well,
But
did we put a number on it though? I mean, we're talking about megabytes, not gigabytes.
Yeah, we can. It's not the change block. Did they misunderstand something?
No, it's just the control. I think it is a control path. I believe. I think we put some data there, right? Ivan, did you put any data there?
Yeah, I did share some with Jan.
Yeah, I think it's important to show them the data.
Yeah, they may be just misunderstanding how much data is actually going to move through this.
I think like we shared it with them. I think the let me just I
saw one comment talking about limitation of size for each call. It's beyond a couple megabytes, then it's not going to be supportable or whatever it is.
Yeah,
but I will have a hard time understand. I'm having a hard time understanding why the traffic is an issue, because even if we're talking about millions of change blocks, it's chunked in a way, and we can always do throttling and rate limiting. So
yeah. So I brought those up too, right? Like there's a way to rate limit on our side. There's a way to rate limit on the Kubernetes API server side. I think fundamentally, like right now, like the difference that the main point that they bring up is like, hey, this basically we are putting all the, so we're in a way like hoping that the user would do the right thing, because these are not like control plane data, right? So we're as telling the user that, hey, you're responsible for not taking down the Kubernetes API server.
Well, that's already the case anyways.
I don't really get their argument. I think we definitely need to go over there and talk to them direct, but I don't get their argument that this is user data. I mean, this is just as much system data as logging is.
Well, yeah, well, it's not control plane data, right? As far as they are concerned. So
It's our control plane.
Yeah, they're saying logging is different. They're actually saying logging and metrics is different. It's kind of handled separately. I think something like that.
yeah, I
Okay.
think fundamentally is like, I think so at least like that's where things are at. I think like if we want to go to that meeting and make a case for it, I think we can definitely schedule something with them and get together as a group.
I will commit some time on the cap comments and see what are we gonna
Yeah,
do.
I think like maybe just I can send you all the link.
Yeah, I
and
think
then
we
you
need
folks
to
can-
compile. Maybe I will say we need to prepare like a separate document just to write down like how much traffic we think will be going through that. Let's say if we're going through this aggregated API server path. If not this, like we should also have an alternative, right? So
Yeah, I mean like okay, so the main point, yeah, so you're right, like Shing, I think the main thing there is like there has to be some rate limiting and throttling happening on the aggregated API server and the Kubernetes API server. Otherwise, like the amount of data will be unbounded, right? Like so like I think Jan quoted like I think he also showed some math, like he did some math on like the data protection working group channel. Like I say, if you assume like a volume of 10 terabytes, and then in the worst case scenario, like the entire thing, all the blocks in the volume was returned, then according to his math, we're talking about gigabytes of just metadata, right? And then like I think like found this some math there as well. I guess the assumption that Fang make there was okay, we are bounded by the SCD storage size. A CR can only be so big, can only contain so much information. So I think like those are like the details there. Like so by default, right, without rate limiting and throttling, then the whole thing is unbounded. The amount of data is unbounded. But now if we talk about throttling and rate limiting, what values, what thresholds are we going to put there? If they're configurable, like then the user, or data path user, data path owners would be responsible for making sure those don't break, right? So I think like those are like the again, like I'm just like relaying information. I'm not defending their position right now. I'm just relaying the information to this group here. So I think like it would be helpful for folks to just chime in on the cap as well, so they don't always just hear from me. If folks can take some time to look at it and share some comments, then it would be helpful. Because right now it has just always been me, like I'm responding to like 4 of them. So
I think it's actually will be helpful. Actually, because the cap sometimes, get to a certain point, there are too many comments. It's kind of hard to know which one is the main thread.
Yeah, I can share like
write down. I will say write down a summary in Google Doc, and then bring that one to SIG architecture when we are, as a group, when we are ready.
Yeah,
so have the main points, right, written down there.
Yeah, I'm gonna share like the latest this discussion thread on the Zoom chat. So that is the latest one. I try to keep the cap.
I think this was
updated.
some discussion about the data, how much is going through, right? So this was just
Yeah. And also like if it can, if we do want to go into a C architecture meeting, like I want to make sure like I mean obviously we have to go in there prepared and educated. So if there's anything that is there in the cap that cannot be resolved via the PR, then we should bring it up. But if we can resolve it over the PR, then we should try to add to the PR there. So, but yeah, I think that's where we are at. Like I think like that's where the cap is currently at, and But at the same time, like so like switching gear a little bit, like I think there are two questions that have been brought up that I just want to share with this group that I think it might be worth thinking about. Like the first one again is still boils down to the actual data packet, right? The blocks of the data. So it seems to me that if CSI is going to continue to deem like data path as out of scope, then how useful is the CBT feature as a whole? So it's like the people keep asking me, okay, what do I do after as a user after I get back the CBT metadata? So it sounds like that second half of the story is that, okay, now I need to go and find the actual data blocks to back
But
up.
then so does Cozy, right? Cozy does not really handle the data path.
So yeah, I think like if some folks can help me to come up with like a stronger story there, like that would be great. So like Xing, you mentioned about Cozy, if you can maybe like either like you can point me to the right documentation on Cozy so I can take a look, or we can.
Oh, what I mean is Cozy does not handle data path, but you're talking about sometimes people get confused between control paths and data paths.
Yeah,
right?
but
So
the way I look at
saying like why they're saying why do you even need this if we are not handling data paths? Is that a question they're having?
It's like this is limited. It's not like why do we? Yeah, it's not why do we? Well, yeah, I guess it's why do we need it? But it's like it's so.
But then
so
same thing, same question with Cozy that does not handle data paths. Why do we need it? Right.
So my high level
Still solve
understanding
some problems, right?
with Cozy, at least like it feels like the story is more or less complete, right? It's like, okay, the scope is like we will give you APIs to manage object storage buckets. Yes, we don't deal with data, but with CBT it's more like, okay, I get back the problem CBT is trying to solve is like effective incremental backups, right? But with CBT, it's okay, I get back the metadata, but my backup story is not complete, right? Like unlike Cozy is like, yeah, here's a collection of APIs, you can do it to manage and administer your
right. I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's more, yeah.
Yeah,
it's
so
direct relationship with what you do with this data you're getting, right?
exactly, like the second half
yeah.
of it, what can I do with this metadata? Now it's up to me to decide how to, like, do I mount the pod volume to the pod, the data mover pod?
Yeah, I don't think we can. Yeah, that
So
will
that
be
has-
even adding more things to it, right? It's a data path. It's the APIs are all different. I don't think we can even make them the same.
Yeah, I think it comes up like many times, like in this working group, like even in the CSI API PR, people ask about it. And then the second thing is also, so I mean, like, I don't expect answers here, but I just want to share like the questions that I've been receiving. The second question is around like again, why do we need to go through the volume snapshot API? Because right now, looking back at it, right, and I was just comparing earlier today, I was just comparing it with the EBS direct API. It feels like again, like we're so heavily like skewed towards the EBS model, right? So typically, if you want to do incremental backup, like, is it common to always have to create a snapshots first? AWS pick it that way because they want users to use the EBS snapshot so they can charge them. I just noticed that for direct,
you don't take snapshot. What do you do? What data are you going? What technology are you using to back up? You got me lost.
So I think can we just do backup directly, like clone? I think like
But clone, you got the same thing, right? Then you got all the data. Is it what's the same thing?
It's the snapshot is basically so we get a consistent point in time where it's crash consistent. So that's why we use those. So we have those snapshots on almost every storage system.
Right. So Dave, like does Copia does it have to snapshot first before it do CBT backup?
If we'd usually do that because we want the consistency. So if you try to back up a running file system, things are changing underneath of you. And you may wind up with an inconsistent backup that doesn't actually, when you restore it, it's garbage. So we have the option in K10 to not take a snapshot, but we really discourage it because in order to do that right, then you have to quiesce the application independently. So typically, like K10 will snapshot the volume, then do a copia backup of the volume, either by cloning it or attaching it somehow.
Right. So yeah, like I feel like okay, that makes sense to me. Like the whole like ensuring like is either application level or crash consistency backups via snapshot. So right now, like we are depending on like so like I guess like whether it is snapshottings or cloning, there are different mechanisms to go about it, right? So right now, like we are under the assumptions that there is some sort of snapshot API that we have to utilize. Like in this case, like volume snapshot, but eventually it relies on the EBS API. Then we do the EPS direct API calls.
Mhm.
What do you mean EBS?
So,
There's a tons of storage systems support snapshot already. Why EBS only?
so right now, like okay, so this is
That's your POC, right? But that does not mean we're developing this for EBS only. If that's the case, we don't really need to develop a common API, right?
Right, but I feel like looking back at the prototypes and the caps, we are sort of heavily influenced by EBS, at least when it first started. Like, do we have
a
other
CPT
change block
APIs.
track? Sorry, do we have?
If you look at the document that we started with, it's actually started with the VADP, right? Those
And
you
Dell
actually added those talk, right?
Yeah, and Fong started it based on the Dell EMC APIs, I thought.
And all of those requires like a snapshots to. I haven't had a
Well,
chance.
so most
remember.
backup utilities use snapshot because it's quick. So if the storage provider does a snapshot for you, it happens very quickly, milliseconds ideally, and that means you don't have to pause the application while you're cloning. So if you, for example, if you want a consistent backup of something, you can pause the application, copy all the data, you can clone it. But that means the application is down for a long period of time. Usually the storage systems have this block level snapshotting that happens very quickly and then lets you, it pauses the application momentarily while it snapshots the volume. And whatever it does underneath, it's maybe copy on write. Some systems actually do like a full clone. I think I was hearing that Ceph actually does a full clone under the covers, which takes forever, but there's some techniques they have for making that go faster. But it's just basically getting that consistent point in time handled by the storage system, and ideally that's very fast. So that's why we use it.
Okay, so I guess like the main difference between like taking a snapshot of the volume versus like cloning the volume is with snapshots in general is a lot more efficient and faster.
That's the goal. I mean, because you can take if you build a mechanism that freezes, say, the VM, clones the volume, and then unfreezes the VM, that's a snapshot. Right, it's just a really heavy duty snapshot or a very heavyweight snapshot.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like that sounds good. Okay. Yeah. Where I come. Yeah. Okay. Just because I'm looking back at the some of the earlier discussions and comparing it with like the EPBS direct APIs and all those things. Okay. I mean that makes sense. Anyway, yeah, that's like the updates from CBT at this point. I think like the next maybe the follow-up action is like it seems like we do want to bring it up to 6 storage, but before that I want to really encourage us to take a look at the cap and add your comments and feedback there. So it doesn't sound like it's just coming from me, and also it also give us a chance to, if we do bring this up to 6 storage architecture, sorry, not 6 storage, say architecture, then like we can go in more prepared and more educated, and we're all in the same on the same page.
Yeah, well, regarding the first part where you want to convince folks how you want to use this response, right? How you want to use CBT, what is the use of it? If you remember, we had created a prototype, how we consume that in canister, and how we, basically do incremental backups. So would it help if we, refresh that prototype and use that to convince folk?
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I think like it's definitely doable, right? Like, it's feasible, but it's just like from a CSI API perspective, is like it only gives from a CSI user and consumer perspective that CBT API only get them halfway there, right? So, and then it's got them halfway to the problem that they're trying to solve is backup, right? So it's like, and then we have to like keep telling users that, hey, no, you only get back the metadata. The second half is like you have to pick canister, you have to pick Bolero, you have to pick whatever DD or whatever tool to do your own actual to get back the block data. So there's
Right, but
something
that's
that
what we have today, right? We have one snapshot. That's just to give you a snapshot. It does not help you move data. You still need to use your own data mover to do that.
right, but
right?
actually
So-
there is a finished like artifact, right? There is a snapshot artifact. Does that make sense? Like the snapshot is actually completed via volume snapshot. You can point back to the volume snapshot and it has
Right,
a
but the
UID.
same thing here, right? This give you some, this gives you the blocks a change, then you go retrieve it, same thing, right? This actually get you one step further on top of the snapshot, right? Snapshot, that's just, you get that as just a full snapshot. But this one allow you to do incrementals. Unless, of course, some systems, they do incremental snapshots, so they always do incremental snapshot, then actually, this is probably not that really, maybe not that useful.
Right. I think fundamentally,
But
it's like there is
for
some-
backup vendors, you need this, right? So that's just for the storage system. There's a difference between if you are storage vendor or if you are a backup vendor. That's a difference, right? For backup vendor, you always need this, right? If you just get the snapshot, then you definitely you need to get the blocks to do it.
right. I think ultimately it's just that a bit of a user expectation management or medication that we
But I
need
don't
to-
think that part is what is blocking this. What is blocking this still just
No, it's not
talking about
blocking.
the control pass part, like even this block that they are talking is too much, right?
Yeah, two
Because
separate.
Yang actually initially
discussions.
he was telling me he's fine with it. It was like before he canceled this one, he
Yeah.
actually I asked him, I said, "Are you good?" He said he's good. I said, "Okay." I thought we were all set, and then he started to change his mind. He was not sure anymore.
Yeah, he was one of the proponents for aggregated API server actually. But anyways, I think like he had a chance to speak to well, he talked after he changed his mind after he talked to David.
Yeah, is he doing the readiness production readiness review? Is the Dave who did the production? readiness review?
The John Belamer.
Oh, this guy. Okay, I know. John was the one who proposed it who asked us hey, why don't you do aggregate API server? But he was the one who
many people
brought up aggregate API server, right? But I don't think he joined. Yeah, but that's the thing. This is a pretty large cap, very complicated. So people will always have different opinion back and forth, right? So that's why it's very important to document everything. This is rejected. We have a section explaining this proposal, why it's rejected. So people say, hey, why don't you do this? I'm pretty sure once we have another cap written using other approach, I'm pretty sure there will be several people will asking, why don't you use API server? Then you just pointing to your alternative section. Hey, this is why we don't use it. Definitely you will get back and forth. I'm pretty sure you'll get it, right? But I think this is kind of complicated. It's very hard for people to understand. Like this is not like a very day-to-day like use case. So
it is. I mean, yeah,
yeah,
you're right. So I think like again to backtrack a little bit, like there are two separate it's two separate discussions between this the one that we are looking at right now versus the earlier one around like the API doesn't deal with the data path. So the latter one, API doesn't deal with the data path, is just more like the questions that have been considered.
Yeah, definitely that question we need to answer. But I think
it's not a blocker.
I think this like how much traffic we're getting is it safe to go through aggregated API server? This is number one thing we need to get addressed, right? Sounds like they're saying no, but if you can write down like a summary, like what is data exactly, just in one document. We don't have to go back and forth, look at the slide, look at this, and right. Because this is a very big doc for people to go through. So if you can kind of summarize that, kind of give people.
I think it will be helpful for other people to chime in here. Like I think I have shared enough of my opinions already.
No, but but this thing needs someone to drive this, right? You are the a subject matter expert, right? So for the doc, you have to be the one who write that doc.
Well, I think like I don't need help with like updating the documentation, but
I'm saying I'm saying you should be the one who write a Google Doc, just summarize this particular issue in, try to write it relatively short, and then just to, for people to read through that, understand this particular problem, right? Like,
so okay, so yeah, I get your point, but right now, like, I think we should just focus. Yeah, so I think like
because
I guess, like,
I'm
sorry.
saying if you want to go in front of a SIG architecture, there's no way that they can understand the whole thing in just like in meeting. They have other people who is on that call, right?
Right.
It's
So
better to
we
write
want to
something.
focus on just this one issue, right? Like the one that we are looking at
This
right
is the
now.
most important issue, right? This is the one
Yeah.
that was stopping us from
So
merge, because you see this already. He already gave a look good to me, and then this is the one that I think we should get resolved. You
right,
can't
I
expect
think
the
we
architecture to
agree
solve
on that.
everything for us, right? At least it's
So
not in one meeting.
Hang on a sec. I think we're talking over each other, so I find it hard to hear. So I think we agree that this is the main issue here. So I think the one thing to be more concretely, right? If we want to, okay, so going back to what Xiangqian was saying, right? Like, this will only potentially take off, like if we can convince like the architecture that yes, we need some like rate limiting on throttling implementation, and that has to be concrete. Like there have to be specific numbers in there. So right now, like what I'm saying is I need I'm hoping folk can chime in here with some of these concrete numbers.
Yeah, why don't we make up some of that stuff? And I'd be happy to, put together the arguments with you. And we can just do some, and if anybody else is interested, we can put together, kind of the one-pager presentation. Sounds like a good idea. And we can just schedule some time to work on that next week, maybe.
Yeah, I'm happy to help too. Don't know how much I can help, but I'll try.
I think, yeah, that appreciate it. Thanks. That sounds really good to me. I think eventually, like, we will put together a one-page summary, but at the same time, like, we should continue to, for the sake of visibility, we should add to like this discussion thread here, because like there are more than just like David and Jan and Clayton looking at this, right? So, but folks are not commenting on it. So what I'm saying is, as we come up with more of this information, if other folks from this group chime in, like we should add to like this PR cap here. Does that make sense?
Okay, you basically need more support, right? You want some support of
yeah,
this.
especially this discussion thread here. If you look at all this discussion thread, it has been me like responding to it, which is fine, but right now, like, I'm running out of words and ideas to add to this. So as more folks chime in, then like like folks like Jan, David, Ethan, Clayton, they can see that, okay, there are other people, there are other stakeholders, there are other users.
Yeah, so let's okay, just everybody maybe just take a look of the cap and read through this document, and then let's get back to this.
Yeah,
okay,
we don't need to read through the whole thing. Just
yeah.
Maybe just focus on this particular discussion here, like this one that Jan started. I think more or less like folks have had a chance.
This is the main, I think this is focusing on the size of the traffic basically. So let's just focus on this one issue first.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't have to look through the whole cap. I think at one point or the other, like we have listened to or read through like the content of this cap over the past like 6 months now, and nothing has changed much since. I think this is the part. This particular discussion is the one that we want to come up with more concrete numbers around, like if we do rate limiting and throttling, is it 10 terabytes of size volume, then we can put together a Google Doc and bring it to SIG architecture and ask folks to comment on that Google Doc there. But now we still need some like data.
Yeah, I think we need to, I think as a group we need to at least have something, right? We all agree on before we go there. Yes.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I appreciate all the feedback and inputs. So cool. That's all from me. Like if folks have any more questions, feel free to ping me.
Yeah, thank you, Ivan, for all the hard work. I know you have been it's hard to going back and forth with those comments, but yeah, thank you for driving this effort.
It's good. Like I learned a lot. I discovered a lot. I mean, like I just to, yeah, anyway, yeah. So yeah, no, I appreciate like all the feedback so far. Cheers.
All right. All right. I think, yeah, we are on top of the hour. We will meet again in 2 weeks. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, folks. Bye.
Thanks.